Let's now bring in Republican Senator of South Carolina and 2024 presidential candidate, Tim Scott. Senator, thank you for joining us. And I want to start by asking you, if you were commander-in-chief, how would you handle Hamas's savage attacks on Israel? What kind of support would you be offering Israel?
Well, let's just put this in context. Number one, 1,100 deaths in Israel is like 40,000 in America. Number two, this was an act of pure evil. I hope that Hamas is wiped off the face of the earth. What I would do as commander-in-chief is make sure that Israel has all the assets and the support they need. Number one. Number two, I would have constant conversations with Netanyahu to make sure that he knows that there is no daylight between our country and Israel. Number three, we've seen the Biden administration cuddling up with Iran and distancing themselves from Israel. We saw that when Biden passed up an opportunity to meet with Israel. I said yesterday that we should move the Sixth Fleet into the Mediterranean and to have more support there. I'm glad to see that happening. I would also say that we need to make sure that our intelligence is working very closely with Israeli intelligence. And finally, humanitarian support, making sure that we are logistically in a position to be as effective as possible, especially now that we know there are American hostages. We, the United States of America, must regain the high ground by having a president who is strong, not one who is asleep at the wheel. And that's why I'm running.
And how would you handle this unfortunate turn here, learning of American hostages? How would you handle that?
Yes, one of the reasons why we moved the Sixth Fleet into the Mediterranean, so we could have the opportunity to have assets and resources available. I would also have our special operations forces available for hostage negotiations, logistical training and opportunities, as well as making sure, if necessary, our men and women are prepared to go get Americans. We must make sure that Biden's decision to raise the price per American head by paying a $6 billion ransom goes down from this day forward. And the only way to do that is to make sure that the price for Americans is too high to pay. And the only way to do that is for them to pay with their lives.
Well, we would assume that the Biden administration is working behind the scenes to offer intelligence and to work diligently to get the Americans back home safely and to keep those who are there somehow in a safe haven. Now, Secretary Blinken says that anyone, Senator, who says the $6 billion that was recently unfrozen is being used to fund Hamas is either misinformed or misinforming. Might you have information that the Secretary of State doesn't have?
Well, he can read newspapers like I can. The president of Iran said very clearly, there are no restrictions on the $6 billion. He knows that once you receive a credit on your account, you can start spending that money. Money is fungible. They will use it in any way they want to, is exactly what Iran said about the $6 billion. We know they are the number one state sponsor of terrorism. We know that they're the number one supporter of Hamas. We also know that Hamas thanked Iran for their support in this attack, this gruesome, evil attack against Israel. I'm not sure what he's talking about, but he's certainly not talking about the truth.
Well, I'm going to move on, Senator. I do want to say this. Let me go here. I want to move on. There's a growing concern in national security circles that the House of Representatives does not have a speaker. Would you encourage your fellow Republicans in the House to expedite the election of a speaker? And until there is a permanent speaker in place, how much intelligence should Speaker Pro Tem Patrick McHenry be given access to?
Well, let's take a look at the state of affairs. Number one, Americans have been captured. Number two, an American ally has been attacked. Number three, the same ally has declared war. Making sure that the acting speaker has all the information, even sensitive intelligence. Patrick McHenry has been in the House of Representatives for more than a decade. He is prepared to provide leadership. That's why he was chosen. It is time now for us to get Republicans and Democrats, House members and senators speaking with one voice, and that one voice must say whatever it takes for us to keep Americans safe and to stand shoulder to shoulder and to be loyal to our allies, yet we must be lethal to our adversaries.
Got it. Senator, really quickly, listen, Iran has funded Hamas under at least 5 presidents. I'm not sure how you would change that. Can you tell us that? I only can give you 30 seconds on that one.
Well, one of the things we'll see in the next several months, in my opinion, is a strategic alliance where Israel will make a decision on how to respond in the most aggressive terms, not only against Hamas, but the funders of terrorism that has killed more than 1,100 folks in his country. I would say we should be there every step of the way.
But we are. But you haven't answered how you would change that unfortunate cycle. As I said, under at least 5 presidents, United States presidents, Iran has funded Hamas. And how would you break that horrible cycle?
Well, with 30 seconds, let's take a little longer because that's not a 30-second answer. The bottom line is a very simple one. We must, without question, support Israel in its next response to Iran, number one. Number two, we must also recognize, whether it was President Obama as well as President Biden, what we've seen is weakness on the global stage. And as a result of that, whether it's the JCPOA that allowed for missile attacks this time and the last time, the ballistic missile tests. When you provide that kind of runway, we should not be surprised when bad things start happening. The JCPOA was a disaster, which provided a runway towards a nuclear weapon, but it also provided the margin for those ballistic missile tests. So when we see 5,000 rockets hitting Israel, Senator, we can't be surprised that the collaboration and the cooperation between Iran and Hamas is now manifesting in more than 1,100 dead Israelis. It is devastating.
It's horrible, Senator. There's no doubt about that. And we're just looking for answers. And hopefully you can actually provide the answer, given the chance if you were to become the president of the United States. We do appreciate your time here, Senator Jim Scott.
Like my answer, but I provided one.
No. It's not for me to dislike your answer, sir. I just ask the questions. That's all I do. And I do appreciate your answering. I really do appreciate it. Good luck, sir, out there on the campaign trail. Thank you very much.
Thanks
we'll be
so
right
much.
back.
You have a good day.
Thank you.